Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our second episode of our podcast, where we want to discuss in terms of how you go and transition and our journey in terms of middle management and senior management, anything about 10 years. So, we have here with us Sarita Kar, senior respected IT leader, and we would again like to welcome her to our second podcast where we want to discuss her journey while she transitioned from junior levels to senior levels and senior leadership level in her organization. So, welcome, Sarita.
Thank you. Thank you, Uma. Thanks a lot and really happy to be here again.
So, to start with, what was your journey like? What would you say is from being an individual contributor to going into management or leadership role? What was your initial thing in the initial years? How did that happen for you?
So, when you are 10 plus years in IT, right, typically this is the time when you are also evaluating your choices. Whether you want to go into individual contribution and continue in that line or whether you want to get into management. So, that is typically one of the choices that you need to make professionally. You are already earned your depth in, say, a particular industry or a particular technology, and this is the time when you're evaluating the choices. I personally had to go through this journey where I figured out that yes, I want to get into management. And as I have shared earlier, also, I was fortunate enough to be in the team where a new team was being formed where the SAP implementation was taking place. So I stepped up, asked for that opportunity, got that opportunity, and I was able to build the team right from scratch, get into management, and so on and so forth. So at that point in time, of course, I had just a bachelor's degree in engineering. So I was also told to get into a management degree. And that point in time, getting a management degree was not a full time course that I wanted to do. So I had to go ahead and do EGMP or an executive general management course along with my work. So that was one of the things to transition into management, though I had actually gotten to be a manager before I went for the course. So that was pretty much the time when I transitioned into management. Yeah.
Interesting. So, I think even I have done the same management course after getting into management. Very typical, right? When you're working full time, it is not possible to kind of take a break and go into management school, especially after many years in the workforce. Um, or maybe circumstances don't allow us. So, what do you think are the skills and expertise that would be required if you have to manage a team?
So very different skills. See, very different skills than being an individual contributor. So because when you're an individual contributor, you are pretty much thinking about yourself. You are just thinking about what is this responsibility that I have. I have to adhere to my KPIs, and that's about it. But when you're a manager, the entire mindset has to shift.
Right.
So it's a complete shift because you have to put your team first. You have to put in what are the goals for my team? What is the alignment with my company's vision? It has to be in alignment with the company's vision. You cannot be
Correct.
individual team.
Right.
Yeah, you are part of a bigger whole. So you have to first get in that alignment. And then you have to see what is it that is good for the team. How can I do the team development? How can I ensure that each and every person in the team has adequate responsibilities? There is no single dependency on one person.
Right.
That is super important in a team. You want everybody to be carrying their own weight in the
Right.
team. You want to ensure that everybody is growing in
Correct.
their fields as well. And you want to also see that your team is being perceived and has the value add to the entire organization.
Yeah.
So all of that, a lot of, I could just go on and on.
No, completely agree. I think so. Hiring, training, retaining. I think that's all the things that, like what you have said, right? That is very
Yeah.
important. Then, when you hire all these people, how do you kind of, the thing, right? Like forming, storming, norming of a team, right? Like, so as an initial manager or the first few years, conflicts, and how do you manage? What would be your take for any first time or management? Like, what was your way of handling?
Yeah, I was pretty much thrown into the deep end, I would say, right from the beginning, because when I started out, I mean, that is
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
the feeling everybody has. I'm sure
Correct.
you would also have a similar story, right? Because you are thrown into that, and when you join in first as a manager, you feel that you will do everything right.
Correct. Yeah.
And you want to be that one person that is most empathetic, that everybody will come to when they have a problem. You will be able to solve all the conflicts. You will be the star.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
you go in with that attitude that, hey, I'm going to succeed. I'm going to go be the best at this. It doesn't happen.
Correct.
It
You
doesn't
can never be the only star, and you cannot be solving every conflict
You
or
cannot.
problem that is there. Yeah.
So the sooner you realize that, the better it is for everybody around. At the same time, yes, you need to have that empathy to realize that yes, there are certain things that you can do. As you said, conflict management, right? I've had those those situations, I would say, where I've had to manage conflicts. Nobody likes that. Nobody
Yeah,
likes to.
people elbowing each other. There are like unnecessary conflicts as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've had physical fights also, which I've had to. Yeah, as surprising as it sounds, it is true, because when there are egos clashing,
Right.
people just don't,
Yeah.
look at all that. So there have been times. In those times, I would probably suggest that you need to take a step back, because if there are two people who are already heated
Yeah.
in the room,
Correct.
you cannot be imposing your power or say that I'm the manager right now and you have to listen to me. Doesn't work.
Correct. Doesn't.
It just doesn't work. So you have to take a step back,
Yeah.
be a little more empathetic at that point in time.
Correct.
And then once people have cooled down,
Yeah.
only then put your points across and say that, okay, your priorities are this, XYZ's priorities are that. How can you come in midway, and how can you do the minimum that is required? Sometimes they can go out as best of friends, sometimes they need not be.
Correct.
They need not be.
As long as they agree to work together.
As long as the minimum is met, because
Yeah.
you would try for the idealistic scenario that yes, everybody in the team gels, best pals, go out for movies together. May not happen all the
Yes.
time. May not happen all the time. While that is the best scenario, and you are looking for that, you do a lot of team building exercises and all to get that, to get to that point. But I'm talking about those cases where it may not happen. What do you do in that case?
Ah.
You settle for a transactional leadership. You settle for a transactional and a situational leadership. Okay, in this situation, these are your priorities. This is the other person's priorities. They are not meeting at this point in time, but what is it that you can do to get them to meet?
Yeah.
So pretty practical at that point
Yeah.
in time. That is
This
because
goes with your sales and technology.
yeah, at the end of the day, you have to get the job done. And by those very individuals. You are not going to get any new people in your team. Sometimes you have those constraints as well,
Yes,
right?
correct.
That this is a skill which you will not get in the market. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
evaluate all those. So while you're taking a deep breath, you're probably evaluating all of that in the back of your mind, that,
You
how
want to
do I-
retain them,
You
but
want
at the
to
same
retain.
time, you have to give a little bit of push.
Yeah, you have to do both. So it is a delicate situation, but with experience you handle that. And like I said, if you take a step back, if you just think about it calmly and think about, okay, this is nothing personal, but this is about priorities and a
Priorities, yeah.
misplacement of priorities. So it can be handled that way.
No, very nice. I completely agree. Just getting people to just sit down and talk like normal people solves most of the problem, right? Just like what you said, and to meet the middle ground and be able to do it. So, when you have these people and you're in a management kind of a position, leadership position, you have some responsibilities that are ongoing. And from a life standpoint also, you are slightly ahead in your life. You have other responsibilities, personal responsibilities. So how do you manage the conflicts and personal responsibilities versus work responsibility, and how do you emerge from the deluge of things that happened during that period?
You're absolutely right when you said deluge of things, right? Because this is also the time, 10 plus years of work. This is the time when you are trying to settle down overall.
Yeah.
So in the professional front, as I mentioned, you're making your choices, where you want to go, how you want to be. And in the personal front also, typically, this is the time when people are also looking at settling down, say marriage and kids, young parents, young moms and dads. So you're
Or older parents.
or
that you have
older
to take
parents,
care of.
you have become the caregiver for older parents. That is also something which hits you at this point in time. So it is if I were to say one sentence, right? Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yes, everything everywhere. I think that kind of sums it up. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to figure out how to go about all of this.
Right.
I believe the best way is you have to learn how to manage your time effectively. And the one I swear by is the 2 by 2 matrix. I think you're familiar with, right? Urgent, important, not urgent, not
Not
important.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, that 2 by 2.
Yes.
Keep doing
Stephen Covey's
Stephen
that
Covey's
seven,
7 habits.
habits.
Absolutely. So in that, what he talks about is urgent and important, right? Some
Yeah.
things which are not urgent, but they are important.
Right.
But they are also in alignment with your goals, your what you want out of life, whether it is personal or professional. So I would say pay attention to that quadrant and keep doing stuff in that quadrant.
Right.
So the first thing, of course, if you are struggling with your time, and this is something which everybody in this particular time frame, 10 plus years, I would take that example,
Yeah.
a young mom or who is also a manager at the workplace. So she is struggling here as well as at home, and a lot of expectations from everywhere.
Yes.
First thing would be in your day-to-day life, just put in the quadrant where what are all the items that you're doing on a daily basis. And if all the stuff that you're doing is primarily in quadrant 2, which is not urgent but important, then you are in that sweet spot. That is ideal.
Yeah.
But typically what you will find is you're probably in the first one, which is urgent, important, maybe urgent, not important, not
Yeah.
important for you, but important for other people.
Other people. Yeah.
So you have to figure out your priorities. So if you are in any other quadrant or majority of your tasks every day are in any other quadrant, then you know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
You need to ensure that you are working primarily on the stuff which is important to you.
Yeah.
So setting your priorities. This quadrant is perfect to help you figure out what are your
priorities. No, I think I completely agree. Because once you know your priorities clearly, you know what to action on first.
Absolutely.
So moving on, the other question that emerges, like when you are in management roles and you're managing a team and you look at priorities, now the next thing comes is like if you want to look at, going up senior management, right? And also in terms of like between your people, how will you negotiate things within your teams, like skills that you have built earlier from a technology, that's like base. Now you have other skills that you have to build in order to navigate the organization. So what would you suggest is, the skills and things that you must be aware of when you're navigating the organization as a manager?
So typically it would all be more focus on your soft skills, right? Because now it is, you've done your tech, you've established your brand as, okay, this person knows his or her stuff. But at the end of the day, it is also about, as you pointed out earlier, right? Perception management. So how people are perceiving you, how do you build your brand? How do you build that name for yourself as somebody who is known for this? At the same time, you need to collaborate. You need to network with the other leaders. Do not restrict yourself to your own BU or your own unit.
Right.
You need to talk across, connect, network with people across the different parts in the organization, the different units, just so that you get that recognition. Also you get the people who will know you more, and the more people know you and they know about your work, then they will be able to be champions for you, so to speak, right? And that is so important. Because just doing your work and you've been good at it is not going to help you anymore.
Correct.
Now you need to socialize and get other people to know about what you do.
No, I think very important point, like managing perceptions and then also making sure you're networking right, making other people aware of what you're doing and your contributions to the organizations, and also kind of taking time out to kind of, proactively go around and talk to others, like what you said, right? So that people understand the way you think and broadly what is going on. So the other thing in this that also comes up pretty often is when you're looking at moving and going, there is also this concept of, they will tell you that certain skills are basic, like management and technology you have already done, but then there is the angle of finance, there's the angle of HR, there's the angle of people management, there are so many other things, right? It's also about making sure that your voice is heard on this, you get a seat at the table, and then once you get the seat at the table, you're heard. So how would you kind of, make sure that, how would you navigate and make sure that that happens for you?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, at the time when I was in management, there were very few women. So getting a seat on the table and getting your voice heard was, I believe, at sometimes it was a challenge because sometimes people tend to discount
Yeah.
that. Having said that, yeah, when you have already built your brand, when you have got that network in place, when you have established that, the perception of people around you that, okay, this is a person who means business, this is a person who has, specific views which are different and which could help and which could add value to the organization.
Correct.
That is what is going to differentiate you, and that is where people will give credence to your opinions, and your voice will be heard.
No, I completely agree. Do your homework.
To your homework.
Homework.
That's a good one.
And do your homework. Make sure you're ready when the chance comes. The other thing which I've learned, I think it goes with what you're kind of saying, is that when you have a chance to be heard, don't lose it.
Yeah, I mean, we were taught that, okay, second chances are not given. But yeah, I mean, I would say yes to a certain extent. But at sometimes, I mean, people are forgiving also.
Yeah.
It's not like you get just one chance to, voice your opinion. You have to look out for more opportunities. You have to look out for more opportunities to keep building that brand. I mean, I have made mistakes. To be very honest, I have made mistakes. And if you look at me and the journey, I would probably say that, yes, there could be a lot more that I could have done.
Yeah.
If I would have, as you rightly put it, right, not lose that opportunity that you have got. But life gives you more chances. You just have to keep looking. You have to keep looking for those opportunities in order to be able to build your brand. So what if you lost one opportunity?
Correct.
You can rebuild it.
Keep
also.
looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
If one goes, the next one comes, but be aware that it is coming and be ready.
Yeah. Just don't make the same mistake twice. That is what
Correct.
Would be the adage. But having said that, yeah, be forgiving of yourself as well, because that is something I've learned the hard way. We tend to be super critical of ourselves also.
Yes.
Right? We've earned that opportunity. We get that opportunity. But what if I screw it up? That is a fear that is lurking in the back of our minds all the time, and that impacts the performance. That is definitely something which, if it is lurking at the back of your mind, then it is going to impact the presentation that you're making to maybe the board or something.
Yeah, definitely. I
don't know if you have.
Yeah, I have the same thing. Like, it's called the imposter syndrome. You feel you're not full and you're not ready. At that, you probably got it. We call it the crow sitting on your thing and trying to tell you that no, this is not right, kind of a thing. And it happens. Like, there is a known thing, right? Like, women will wait till they are 100% matching, till they open their mouth, and men even with 60% will like go and get it and things like that. So
We've all been
that is very much, but I think being conscious of it. I think like what you said, that imposter syndrome, being conscious that that is happening, and therefore properly managing your emotions, managing. So before every kind of presentations, I used to take a deep breath 3 times, relax myself and say that this is not the end of the world. If I screw it up, nothing is going to happen. And then I used to just go smile. And, I've seen that just by being relaxed and being working with first principles, not really trying to kind of, remember every single thing under the sun, it generally works. And then taking breaks. The other thing is, like, we all have responsibilities, and sometimes we take breaks in our careers, even at management level, and then going back in. And we know that the pyramid gets, narrower at the top. So how do you make your entry back in, and what would be your experience, suggestions, thoughts?
Yeah, I have actually taken 2 breaks.
Okay.
So yeah, and it was early on in my career.
Okay.
Primarily because I wanted to be around when the child was born and growing up.
Yeah.
So for both the kids, yeah, I have taken 2 career breaks, and at that point in time, not many people were taking career breaks. This I'm talking about the year maybe 2005
Okay.
or so was when I took my first break. 2004, 2005. So that is the time when if you take a break, the perception is that you're not serious about your career. You are, just somebody who wants a regular 9 to 5.
That's so unfair, no?
It is, but it was the way it was. I mean, I'm glad that the perception has changed today.
Right.
I don't think that perception exists anymore.
Yeah, post-COVID also.
Actually, absolutely. But at that point in time, that is how it was. So I had to work really hard to figure out how to get in after I've got my first break.
Right.
So for me, the easier thing was to go back to the place where I was working.
Yeah.
I had taken a break. I had done a complete shut off. I was on a complete break. But because I had, the relationship with I had that credibility. I had exited gracefully from my previous company. I was able to go back. And though they took me in the same position as I was, which probably is fair at that point, though I have done additional certifications and all.
Right.
So how I utilized my break was I used to contribute in forums. I used to do certifications, technical certifications at that point in time.
Right.
So that I am up to breast with the latest technology.
Correct.
I am not completely off.
Correct.
And I am also contributing so that I keep my tech knowledge up to date.
So you're relevant with what is happening.
I'm absolutely relevant. So that was something which I did during my break.
Correct.
And when I had to go back, yes, initially I did go back to the same concern, and that is where, the exiting gracefully helps me out. But I did a change because if you want to grow after the break, you will need to probably change. This is what my experience has been. May not be true for everybody, may not be true in today's context, but in those times,
it is pretty much, I would think, similar. Because if I also had one break I had to take and one when I moved back to India. But when I took a break, going back, just like you, being relevant, what you said, being in the know, doing things which are relevant for people to kind of connect with, looking through my experiences so far and finding out things that will match with the new role that I'm doing, like what you said, so that, I can connect the dots. And relationships, I think managing those relationships helped in getting back at work and things like that. So definitely a very good thing. So I think the other thing we have to now kind of move across is in terms of like from your teams and management and, companies that you have worked with, what would be your, few takeaways that you want to share with our people who are looking at this podcast?
So see, a lot of things, because as I said, right, this is the time when you have not just your professional responsibilities, which are growing and a lot more than what you have been handling the previous 10 years. You also have your personal responsibilities, which you have gathered more, so to say, maybe family, kids, being caregivers for parents. So a lot of stuff going on.
Correct.
And the only way you can manage all of this, come on top of it, would be A, of course, manage your time effectively as we outlined. B would also be setting boundaries. Setting some boundaries at work as well as at home, just so that people understand that this is as much as you can do. And you need to also take the time out for yourself, because in all of this, your own physical and mental health takes a backseat.
Correct.
That is something I'm
very
sure
important. Very important. I completely.
So that is something which takes a complete backseat. So you need to ensure that you are taking the time out to recharge.
Yes.
And also shamelessly use all the help that you can get.
Correct.
Whether it is in office, you automate stuff, you delegate stuff, which anyways should be a given in management. And at home also you do the same. You can use the support system. There is no shame in using the support system if you have one.
Correct.
If you're lucky to have one, make sure that you use it.
Use the support system to the maximum. No, I think, I see in this, I think the other thing is like having some hobby. Having something that, beyond work, that helps you shift your focus for some good period of time so that you clear your head. And then come back to any tough decision that you have to make, so that it just makes it easier. And plus it helps you manage the stress.
Absolutely. Managing stress is super important. That is something that I feel is definitely something you need to do. And like I said, a lot of time we do not pay attention to it. We are so much caught up in that. I want to be a super mom. Yeah, I want to be a, as far as someone who does it all.
Correct.
Manage everything at work, get the perfect work-life balance. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. At least that has been my experience. Overall, if you're doing well with all your priorities, you have your priorities at work. These are my non-negotiables. At home, you have your priorities. These are mine non-negotiable things. These are the things that I will absolutely do. As long as you're able to do that, I think you have got your work-life balanced. I don't think there is a perfect work-life balance at it, right?
Yeah. No, I think what you said is very true. Like having your priorities and not negotiating on them, that is a given. So that does help you to make sure that you are pretty much making sure it goes as per your way, so that, like, let's say your kids or family, you're not kind of compromising on that, and the same time at the workplace. So sometimes work wins, sometimes home wins.
It does. It does. See, it is not like, I know, I mean, we all prioritize our kids, but sometimes, I will give you an example. If there is a priority one issue at work going on right now, you will have to give it your all.
Yeah.
Right? At that point in time, maybe you will miss out on something that your child is doing.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, I just hope and pray that it is nothing which is not a milestone in your child's life.
Correct.
But you will have to give that priority to work.
Yes.
And sometimes if your child is sick, that takes precedence over everything else.
Correct.
Right? So it is,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a personal thing. I'm not judging anybody. There have been times when probably even a sick child, I have left at home at the, asking my mom or my mother-in-law to take care.
Right.
When I have gone for a really important meeting, which I was needed, in which I was needed, right? So I have done that.
Yeah.
So it is not like kids are my priority, so every single time I will be prioritizing the kids. It doesn't work that way.
Correct.
Right? When you are leading a team, when you are responsible for a particular unit, you need to act that way as well, and do not expect that special treatment.
Yes.
Simply because, okay, I am a woman who also has other responsibilities at home. I will not come in when there's a priority one issue going on. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
You lose your credibility as a leader.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
That's what
you
I
need
would
to be able to lead from the front, be able to show them that, how things are to be done, be there to manage any escalations and problems that may arise in a very shortest period of time. And so I think definitely it is required. Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah, right? I mean, we've all done that tough juggle.
Yeah.
We are always walking that tightrope maybe, but
Correct.
it is a juggle end of the day.
Right.
Because sometimes you're putting work up front and sometimes you're putting your kids up front. It is always a juggle.
So in that, I think one of the things, it brings me that juggle and the tightrope that we walk. I think one thing that helped me was to say that, don't expect anything from anyone. My mom told me, like, very early on when I decided I'm having kids and, family, and I was very wanting to still keep my, work and progress and things. So she said, learn to manage everything on your own. So don't expect, because I think when you expect, and it is so true, I think like when you don't expect anybody to do anything for you, you are in a much better place. Like, let's say the cook doesn't happen. Cooking has not happened. So even if I have to do a couple of days, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. Even if, let's say the kids' school is not there, it's fine. You're still able to manage. Because the minute you think that somebody else will take care, or school or home or daycare or parents or something, that's when we get this whole stress situation that, oh my God, I was expecting something to do.
Yeah, that just adds to your stress already, right? You anyways have high levels of stress because you have to get so much done. And if you're doing that expectation and that doesn't work out, then that is just additional stress in the relationship which you cannot afford. Honestly, you cannot afford it at that point in time. You just have to pick the pieces and move on.
Right.
Right.
And do you also feel that, I think having a family, kids, and then work and your own hobbies, that you're able to manage everything much better because of, managing kids, managing at work? Is there anything, learnings that come across from one to the other?
Yeah, you learn to handle crisis for sure. I think I'm a better manager, better leader because of all the stuff that I've gone through at the personal front also. And which brings me back to that same point, right? If you have more challenges,
Right.
that is where you grow as a person.
Correct.
Also, right? If I had fewer challenges, I don't know if the journey would probably have been less stress, would have been stress free maybe, but would it have been as rich?
Rich. Yeah.
Right. So that is something I feel that definitely having lived that whole gamut of emotions and experiences has helped me grow. Has helped me become more mature. And today I would say it has changed my perspective and mindset also.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'll give an example. For example, I was that person who would always be pushing and getting stuff done. And, as you said,
Yeah.
don't expect, but do everything yourself. And nothing should drop. None of the balls should drop that was a lot earlier, in this phase. And then I realized over time with
Correct.
maturity that, it is okay. You
Yeah.
can let go. It is fine. Cut people some slack.
Yeah.
Even at work,
Correct.
you are always pushing, you're getting your teams motivated. You have everybody wanting to, you want everybody to contribute, carry their weight, grow as a person. You want all of that for your team. But sometimes you need to cut some slack because everybody staying motivated all the time is not going to happen.
Correct.
That's a reality you need to live with.
Yeah.
At the same time, everybody may not be wanting to grow also. Accept
Yeah,
that.
that's also. Wow.
Right? In the team, you want the best for your team.
Right.
Just check whether the person wants the same thing or
thing.
not.
Correct,
Right?
correct,
Maybe the person doesn't want to grow at the rate that you are expecting him or her to.
Too. Yes.
Right? So respect that.
Yeah.
Respect that. And that comes with maturity. And I feel that comes with having had all those experiences also.
Correct, correct.
So yeah, it's a richer life.
Yes.
Maybe more stress, but a richer life, I would say.
No, very nice. I think very good. So one last thing is in terms of like if you had to do something all over again, what is it that you would do differently?
I would probably take more help from folks that I had at my disposal. Maybe I had that, that super mom syndrome, I would say, where I wanted to have that perfect work-life balance. I have had those times of stress.
Yeah.
Also, as you rightly pointed out, expecting, okay, somebody to do something and then they've not done it. And that's when I decide, no, I'm not going to take anybody's help at all.
Right, right.
But that is not the right decision. I would say that, pick up the pieces, move on. Tomorrow is another day. Be more forgiving.
Yeah.
Be more forgiving of yourself and the others as
Correct.
well.
Right.
So just because somebody has not done something for me in one instance doesn't mean that I will not ask again.
Yeah.
That sometimes, you have your own ego and everything, but I would say be more forgiving, swallow that and figure out what needs to be done at that point in time and go ahead and do it. So if you ask me, I would be more forgiving in one word. Yeah. Of
Awesome.
myself, all the other
All the
people
people around.
Yeah.
No, amazing. I think being forgiving, I think is like something we really have to learn how to do it well. I think it's a huge thing to be able to learn to do it for yourself and for others and not hold the grudges. Very true. So thank you very much, Sarita, for spending time with us and sharing all your knowledge and expertise and your journey. Because I think that is definitely some things our viewers are going to find very inspirational. So, viewers, if you would like to know more about what all topics we would be covering, we are looking at more at technology and business, and we would be looking at doing these podcasts more often. So, if there are things that you learned or you liked from this podcast, please let us know, provide your feedback. If there are things that you would like us to talk about more, we would love to know that too. Overall, I think if there are things that connected with you well, I think it will help us know that because we would be able to kind of, focus on things that are going to be helpful for the longer term. Thank you very much for watching till the end. See you in the next one.